Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. My name is Dr. Pandachon and today I am here providing you with a tutorial slash guide on the Highlander. I'm going to be going over his basic and advanced moves and then I'm going to come to a conclusion whether he's worth buying for 15,000 steel. So starting off with his basic moveset, he has a bunch of chains, 3 chains to be perfectly honest, and yeah, each of them involve a heavy attack, this making them slightly more predictable than they need to be, but they are still equally as useful. Now, this is the basic moveset, so you'll want to be using these if you're just going to start out with the character, and while being predictable, they can be quite damage inflicting, you know, if you pull them off correctly. So, the first one is light, light, heavy. This is also called Tir Nor or something. I can't remember, but whatever. So, if you do 2 lights, then a heavy, it will do a little chain like this, and it will inflict a very, very substantial amount of damage. Next up on our list, we have the next moveset, which is the same thing except with 1 less light. So it's a light then heavy. Light then heavy. So, then next up we have the double heavy, which is this and this. And as you can see, it does a lot of damage when done correctly. Now, obviously you can switch this up and change some of them into unblockables, but I'll show you how to do that later. For now though, we just have these 2, and that is the Banshee's Wail. It's the Celtic's Curse, and you'll want to be using this quite a lot, and it is dodge forward and heavy attack, and it will go into an overhead heavy which has hyper armor on it. Although all of his heavies have hyper armor on it, so yeah. This is still a very good move because it allows you to gain distance on the enemy and also sneak in that attack while you're at it. This is very predictable and easy to parry, but fortunately for you, it is uninterruptible and it has great tracking on it. So if you have a peacekeeper who is dodging like mad and trying to stab you, don't worry about it, because even if he dodges, it should hit him anyway. So, moving on, now we are going to go on to his offensive stance. In his offensive stance, he has 4 moves, but first I'm going to show you how to get into offensive stance. You hold down the heavy button, and he will say his nice little catchphrase here, and you will go into it. And basically, his few moves that you'll want to be using off the bat are his light and his unblockable heavy. Now, these are done by entering the stance, and to do the heavy, you just let go of the trigger, and it will do a heavy. If you immediately resume holding the trigger after you've let go, it will allow you to go straight back into offensive stance without having to do the done my glass thing all over again. And yeah, that's just a general big help out. So what you can do is, for a little chain here, you can kind of just do a unblockable, then go straight into a light. I'm not very good at it because I'm on controller and I'm really terrible at holding light and heavy at the same time, but I'm fairly certain you can just do it like this. So yeah, it's very useful attack, so you'll want to learn that. So, next up in his offensive stance, he has the kick, which is done by pressing X in offensive stance while holding down the trigger. Now, after clicking the X button and it hits, if you hit the enemy, you can then get a free unblockable heavy, and it will also drain a bit of the opponent's stamina. This is very useful and can be used in chains, like I'll show you in the later part of this video. So his next unblockable move that you will want to be learning is his grab. Now this is very, very important move, and is equally as important as the kick, as they basically do the same thing, allowing you for a free heavy. This one just looks a lot cooler. As you grab him, throw him to the floor, get an unblockable, and that's pretty much the end of that. You can chain this into further combos, like I will show you guys later on in the video. So next up in his offensive stance, you have probably one of the most important moves that he has. The taunt. Now, you can't possibly go into a game without doing this at least once. Because, I mean, come on. He's like a fucking rock artist. Obviously, that last one was sarcastic. I think. So, we're going to move on now to his more advanced moveset. Now, although it is called advanced, it is still pretty basic, and this is because the Highlander is very almost simple character to use, but he is very difficult to actually pull it off in a fight because he does have some pretty good contenders like the Shugoki and the Raider to worry about. So, his 50-50 is the most important thing that you can possibly use as Highlander, as it is the least predictable move he has. Now, the 50-50 starts off by you performing the Celtic Curse. Now, the 50-50 has two sides of the attack, which means that it's a lot less predictable as you can change it up. So, his first part of the 50-50 is the Celtic Curse followed by a side heavy or top heavy, depending on what you want to do. And that is very basic, it's very simple, and it can catch people off guard if they're expecting the other move. Now, the next move is done by activating the Celtic Curse, but before the Celtic Curse hits, you switch your guard to the side and click heavy again, and this will perform a spinning to the side move, depending on which way your guard is facing. So, if you face your guard to the right-hand side, you will go into a spinning move that will go off to the left and hit from the right-hand side, like so. If you move to the left, you will spin to the right and do a left-hand attack, like so. Now, this is a very powerful 50-50 as it guarantees you one hit at least. Now, obviously, after learning these two moves, you can switch it up and occasionally just go for this, or you can move around and switch to this, but obviously you won't want to be going from the same side every time because otherwise it will become very predictable. So, remember to switch it up. So, next up I will show you how to use this 50-50 to go into a chain of attacks. Now, the offensive stance has quick access after a chain of attacks. Now, if you were to use a 50-50 like this, and then follow up with a heavy like this, then that's pretty good as well. You can just do that. Or you can go into the 50-50, and what you can do is, after the first hit, you hold down the heavy button, and it will move you into offensive stance. Allow me to just demonstrate that once again. So I've done that first hit, then I hold down the attack stance, hold down the offensive stance, and it would take me into offensive stance. Now, immediately after this, I can follow up with a kick. So, or a grab. And this will allow me for a free heavy hit, and then I can go into a chain like so. This does immense amounts of damage to the opponent, and it is very, very important. Now, Highlander's possibly his biggest weakness is the Gladiator when it comes to facing off against other heroes. Now, that toe stab will get you the majority of the time when playing as Highlander against a Gladiator anyway. So, what you'll want to do is you'll want to dodge and then guard break it because it's free. So, thing about guard breaks with the Highlander is you can't get a heavy because they will block them. Now, this bot won't be helpful because he doesn't have a guard to show this, but you won't be able to get a heavy from a guard break from any directions, from any at all. The only thing that you can get is a throw, a light, or the first hit of an area attack. Now, I personally like to go with the throw if I'm near a wall because it allows me to go into a heavy, which allows me to move into the offensive stance like so. However, if you are pushed for time, little on stamina, and you just want to get the duel over and done with, I suggest that you go with light because that will allow you to chain into more attacks as well. However, if your opponent is on like less than 1 bar of health and you just want to finish the fight, if you go into a guard break, do the first bit of the attack, and then you click area, do the first hit, and then you cancel the rest of it. Now, this will also give you a huge advantage if your opponent doesn't die from this, because he will expect the other hits, and then you can chain into a light like this. And obviously start off a combo of your own depending on what you want to do. So when it comes to Highlander, that's pretty much all you really need to know. You can chain a bunch of things other than offensive stance off of the 50-50, but it's just not as effective, so I tend to use the offensive stance a lot more. You can play very defensively. Of course, the Highlander does have his crushing counter-strike on all sides, so if your opponent was to attack you with a light attack or a heavy attack, you have to quickly block it, and just as you block it, you have to click the light attack button, and it will do a unblockable attack. This is a very, very effective attack, and if you don't know what I mean, the Warden has it on his upper stance. So when he's like this, if you were to attack the Warden and he blocks it, he can then open up the opportunity for an unblockable that's over the top. This is the only unblockable move that the Warden has, and it is incredibly difficult to use when it comes to the Highlander because it can come from any sides. However, if you master this move, it will be incredibly valuable to you, being as you can chain it into lights and then chain it into a unblockable stance, and this is very effective when it comes to the Highlander. So that's pretty much all I can teach you when it comes to the Highlander. Like I said, I do think that this character is very much worth buying when it comes to the amount of steel. If you bought the Scent, then you certainly should buy this because he is 10 times better than the Scent in my opinion. Obviously the Scent is going to be a little bit more effective due to his ability to spam pretty much any move he wants. However, the Highlander is extremely good at facing off against Scent due to his excessive use of the 50-50. So that pretty much concludes this tutorial and this guide. So I hope you guys have very much enjoyed this video. I certainly have. Even though it was the 5th time that I've recorded it today. So yeah, this is going up on the 21st. I hope you guys enjoyed your summer. It's coming to an end. I've enjoyed mine, and yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy the video. If you did, and it did help you out, please do leave a like. If you've still got further questions, don't forget to leave the questions in the comments section below. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And yeah, if you stick through this entire video and you watched it all and you didn't get bored, please do hit that subscribe button because we're on the way to 100 subs. Every single subscriber counts. So thank you guys very much for watching the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed. Goodbye. Sorry, I just couldn't resist at all.